One of pastor's role during election is the projection and the endorsement of the right candidate during election. This is an area where most pastors want to sit on the fence. However, this our indecision is what has made many of our members not to vote the right person during election, and has in the end caused our society to be in this great mess where we have found ourselves. Some do this because they don't want to be disadvantaged when the candidate they didn't endorse wins the election. Others claim it is unchristian for a pastor to discuss politics in church. However, I have already proved this is incorrect in the part 1 and part 2 of this same message. We are discussing pastor's role during election. Please search for it on my channel and find out for yourself what the Bible has to say in regard to this claim. Let me now show you a couple of scriptures that prove a pastor should project and endorse the right candidate so people can see him and support him. The first scripture I'm going to show you is Malachi chapter 2 verse 7, and it says, "For the lips of a priest should keep knowledge, and the people should seek the law from his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts." Did you notice that? In other words, how do people know the mind of God over a situation? The Bible is telling us, it said they should go to the priest and seek the law of God. So if people want to know what is the mind of God over election, how should they seek it? How should they find it out? It is the priest that will be able to tell the people. Not because he's going to say, "The Lord revealed to me and so and so." No, that's not what I'm talking about. Not because he's going to say, "I get a prophecy, God says so and so is going to win." That's not what we are talking about, because that way many of us have been led astray. Many of us have been deceived. I have made a video before on how a pastor can help his congregation and help the society at large to know the mind of God in regard to choosing a societal leader. Please, I would want you again to go back to the part 1 and part 2 of this same message that we are looking at and find out for yourself. You are going to see how God has laid down specific prescription on how to choose a societal leaders. And it is the pastor who teach this to his congregation for them not to make mistake when electing a societal leader. So the first thing is that the scripture that we've just read is telling us, if people want to know the mind of God over an election or over anything, they seek it from the mouth of the lip. So the pastor cannot afford to sit on the fence and not tell the people what the mind of God is. Neither should he go to the extreme of trying to make the people to follow what he believes without biblical proof. Because many people are just going to come up and tell them, "God showed me in my dream, God showed me in my personal revelation that so and so is going to win." No, we should try to follow the laid down prescription that God himself has already spelled out in his word, which the pastor have the duty, the role of exposing the people to, so they can vote rightly. That is the first scripture I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the second scripture, and we are looking at 1 Kings chapter 1 verse 32 to 40. It's a bit lengthy, but I want us to follow it carefully because we are going to learn a lot from this passage. Now, before we read the passage, let me give you the background story. As at this point, David was already old, weak, and ready to die. A man named Adonijah took advantage of this opportunity, gathered many of the people, and started spoiling them with gifts in an attempt to bribe them so they can vote for him to become the king of Israel. And that's exactly what is happening in our society today. That you see many politicians going from state to state, trying to buy people's heart with money. trying to buy people's heart with gifts. The Bible told us that many people cheaply fell for this trick so that he can become the king of Israel. Now, what did David do in order to remedy this situation? I want you to take note of the passage we are going to read. You will notice that the first thing that David did was that he called the priest and the prophet that was in town, because these people have so much influence over the people, and what they say, the society was going to respect them. So he told them, and I want you to listen to this carefully. So verse 32, he said, and King David said, call to me Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. So they came before the king. Did you notice the people he called? He called the priest, he called the prophet, because these people have influence over the society. People are going to listen to what they say. So he called them. Verse 33, and I want you to follow this. The king also said to them, take with you the servant of your Lord, and have Solomon my son ride on my own mule, and take him down to Gihon. Verse 34. There let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him king over Israel. Are you noticing that? That's projecting King Solomon in the front of everybody as the next king. Are you understanding this? And who are the ones that are doing this? The priest and the prophet. Pay attention to this. And say, long live King Solomon. Did you see that? So they said, long live King Solomon. They are projecting King Solomon before the very eyes of everyone. And I want you to notice what will happen at the end of this projection and endorsement. Please, I want you to pay careful attention for you to know the reason why pastors cannot sit on the fence on this matter. No, they have a role to play. And I want you to notice that carefully. So we take that, verse 35. Then you shall come up after him, and he shall come and sit on my throne, and he shall be king in my place, for I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and Judah. Did you notice that? All right, now let's jump to verse 38 because of time. In verse 38, let's see what it says. Now, verse 38 says, so Zadok the priest, notice the people that are going to be doing this. Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the Sheratite and the Pelatite went down and had Solomon ride on King David's mule and took him to Gihon. Verse 39. I want you to notice this. Then Zadok the priest took a horn of oil from the tabernacle and anointed Solomon, and they blew the horn, and all the people said, long live Solomon. How many people? All the people. These were the same people that were with who? Adonijah. But when they saw that the priest and the prophet endorsed another, they know the priest and the prophet. They know the heart of God. They know the mind of God. And he will not be wrong. The same people who went after Adonijah because they were bribed, because they were given gifts, and they went after him. Now, who are they going after? They went after Solomon. Look at what he says. He said, then Zadok the priest took the horn of oil from the tabernacle and anointed Solomon, and they blew the horn, and all the people said, long live Solomon. All the people. Now I want you to notice verse 40 before we bring it to a closure. Verse 40, and notice what it says. In verse 40 it says, and all the people went up after him. Did you notice that? So those who were following Adonijah deserted him, and this time around they came to Solomon. Why? Because the priest and the prophet projected him and endorsed him. That's the reason you have a part to play. People believe in you as a pastor. People respected you as a pastor. They know that you have the mind of God. So as a result, you have to bring God's counsel, not based on what you think is right, but bring God's counsel to the people and make them to understand this is God's mind. This is God's candidate. This is the right person. Based on this, based on his past record, based on the things we have seen him done, based on his track record, we know this is going to be the right person because he has followed all of these principles that God himself has recorded in the scripture. You see, that's the part that the pastor must play. You cannot choose to sit on the fence just because you don't want to be disadvantaged when the person you do not endorse wins the election. This is the reason I said pastors have a role to play during election. We are going to be ending this video here. Please subscribe to our channel, like our video, and hit the notification bell so you can always be notified each time we upload new video. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you.